Hello. Feeling a bit misanthropic today. Hello, YouTube. This is AugustusLarch. But when I feel misanthropic, I throw in my Sade record, and it helps me. Today I was on the job, and I keep hearing on the news, oh, the government, in this whole budget debt ceiling argument they're having in our national legislature, they're saying we want the government to create jobs. It's a prevailing idea that the government is there to create jobs somehow, and it's a bipartisan sentiment, and it's wrong. They're just sending mental interference to cover their racket, okay? The government's job is to regulate the environment for steady commerce and to make sure that some people aren't taking advantage of other people. You know, their number one job is to regulate the currency. But something happened in 1913 when they sold out a principal right of the government to coin a constitutional function of the government to print and coin money and regulate the process thereof. And they just sold that out to the Federal Reserve, which is just a cartel of banks, a bank cartel. And then they somehow wrangled a deal in to charge the taxpayer for creating money, 3% for all the money they create. So it just gives them incentive for them to devalue the currency. And who did they have? What kind of special minions did they have for a quorum? What is it, a Tuesday before Thanksgiving or something in 1913? Somebody can write in the comment section when the Federal Reserve Act was passed. And number two, so the government isn't regulating currency anymore. And number two, infrastructure. Public infrastructure. That's something the government should be looking after, right? Oh, no. Well, one time, the railways, the government granted land to railways so they would build, if they'd build a section of rail across it. And then the railways ended up turning it and selling it. So the railways were kind of nationalized. But today we got the worst rail system in the whole world. The CN Railway Canadian National Railway comes through Minnesota here, and it burns by 68 miles an hour. Big running, long trains, just running at high speed. I went out west and saw the way the railway runs out here in the United States. It just kind of putters along because you know why? The rails aren't in shape for them to go any faster than that. So that's what the big bad America's got, a horrible rail infrastructure. Another one is the waterways. Look at the New Orleans debacle. It never was the case that they'd have run the canals all the way out to the Gulf of Mexico there. Before, the canals only went a certain distance, and then it was too swampy and too delty, like a delta down there. So they just stop them off at a port and truck them down to New Orleans, to the port. They'd bypass the delta. And now they've opened it up so they can run ships all the way down the Mississippi. And look at the results. Look at in Minot. The Corps of Engineers came in and built up the levees, and they have the levees right up next to the river like idiots. You can look at my blog on river flooding, how I have no sympathy for them. You know who did a good job on their river flooding situation? Grand Forks, North Dakota. They bought out everybody along the river, and they spread out. They had something called a greenway. So they backed off, way back, like 500 feet, more than an eighth of a mile almost. Wide is how wide the river is, right? And then their levees can be half as high because the river has more room to flow. They don't have it stacked right up next to the river with huge high levees. Of course, they're not going to work. Idiots! You should have the Geological Survey help you out instead of the Corps of Engineers. the Corps of Engineers are tied into the military and industrial scammers, and they're just going to make work for themselves, to not be trusted. Another one is petroleum. Shouldn't the petroleum, a resource that's key in the economy, be controlled nationally and nationalized? All that oil should be owned by the public as a whole, and the only thing someone should get paid for is getting it out of the ground and refining it. That's it. Instead, they own the oil. We've got these private companies that own the oil, and what are they going to do? They have a cartel running. They'll set any price they want, and the government, we don't even know what we're doing. We just get elected, man. Don't look at us. Yeah, okay. Another one is electricity. I know that there's a suppressed technology with electricity. Really. That's been scams been going on for years. There's equipment out there that anybody can set up a transmitting, like a receiver, to receive electromagnetic current and convert into electric current for their own use. Wouldn't that change things? Wouldn't that make and that's a worldwide thing. Don't they got us by the freaking genitals? Really. Another thing, commerce regulation. They let the Walmarts and the big boxes do unfair business practices and just wreck all the smaller operators. Walmart destroyed small towns. Kmart kind of destroyed small towns too. All those big box stores. They can operate at a loss until all the other competition in town goes under. And they have. Isn't that against ethical, the basic rules of ethics from being a human community? We should all be working together. Instead they've taken capitalism to the extreme. I mean, capitalism has its place, but they're not allowing capitalism to happen. They're allowing some big fish to eat all the other fish. That's not capitalism. That's just totally unfair. And collecting levies, the only taxes the government should get are on a basis for an incentive to do better on regulating things and enforcing law and making sure that we're all working together as a nation, not fighting amongst ourselves. And the military. The only military, full-time military, that any country needs is a navy, because they need to send ships out, and those ships need protection. Otherwise, any other form of military is just, they end up making work for themselves, especially the intelligence services. Man, they're just causing trouble, and it's all cost. Military is a cost. There's no value-added money created from the military. It's just bleeding money when you have a big military like that. And then they end up getting up to no good. So, I just have to get this stuff off my chest so I can help my misanthropy. And I hope you enjoy this Saturday, because I'm trying to right now, but it's difficult. Because, well, you can watch the vlog again. This is AugustusLarch. Leave something in the comment section. Thanks for watching YouTube.